Hello, welcome to the boat. This is Magic Carpet 2. It is a very rainy day on the coast of British Columbia right now, so we thought it's a perfect time to give you an interior tour of the boat. But this is kind of a long time coming. We've never really done a proper interior tour of the boat because up until now, it has just been constantly a work in progress. It got pretty good last year, but there was still a lot of things missing. But we're at the stage, finally, in the rebuild of this boat where I feel like one can never say one is at the end of a boat refit because one never is. But we're as close to the end as I think we ever will be. And I'm ready to bring you into our home to show you in full detail all of the little things that we have going on here. As Aladino and I rebuilt this boat, we knew that we were building our future home, and we wanted it to feel special and like us and have personality. And because of this is a small space, every single element had to be chosen with care. And there are treasures hidden throughout this boat, which we will show you. As we move throughout the boat, I'll try and tell you the story of every little piece. If you're curious about the extent of refit that we did on this boat, I mean, I'll flash a few pictures up on the screen right now, but the whole thing has been pretty well documented on YouTube, so I'm not gonna get into that. We're just gonna focus on the end product here, and we're gonna start in the very middle, in the saloon. We're gonna start here because if you have been following the channel, this is actually the area where some brand new things have happened that nobody has seen yet. They are brand new to us as well. We have this lovely table. This actually came with the boat. It's one thing that we didn't build. And very conveniently, it can just store away, which is really nice because it gives us this floor space and I can do my Pilates in the middle of the boat. But the trade-off is we have this really small table, which is fine when it's just Aladino and I, but we like to have guests. We like to have people sitting here eating dinner with us, and this table doesn't work for that. So we've made a fix this season, which I'm really excited about. In here is a brand new, never before seen addition to Magic Carpet. This is our hanging locker. We hang coats and stuff in here, but what I want to show you is this piece cleverly hidden on the inside of the door. Pop that out. This is a table that Aladino and my dad collaborated on this year. And it's got a lagoon table mount on it, which is a really standard kind of table mount to be found on boats and RVs and campers, that kind of thing. It just sits on top of this peg. There you go. So this is really nice because now we can have people over. Tables for everyone, but it's got more purposes than that. Oh, just you wait. This living room continues to transform. So we call this configuration small couch. This table folds up, as you've already seen. This one can stay out of the way for now. And look, more hidden components. So back here, we have, well, our water maker, which we have a whole episode about installing the water maker, but also hidden on the inside of this door is this piece. And I can't remember if we've shown this on the channel either. Fits in here. And then we have a whole cushion, which we always just keep stored on the quarter berth over here. And it sits on top. So this is big couch mode, and we already had this in place last season. It's just nice to be able to kind of lounge properly. That's something that sailboats lack very often, especially sailboats of this size. But whenever we had it in big couch mode, we could no longer use our table. This table now solves that problem as well. So if we're in big couch mode and we just don't feel like putting it away to have dinner, we can now have dinner like this. Or, most exciting for me, because I spend just so much time on my laptop editing these videos, which I love doing, but it's a lot of time. Now I have a table I can work at on the couch. I love this.
We had leftover pieces of teak and Alaska yellow cedar. As you can see, they perfectly match the other projects that we had on this boat. And so we came up with, why not make the table out of those materials? And indeed, it worked out perfectly. We did have this knot hole here, which we didn't quite know what to do with it. So we have decided to fill it with epoxy. And I browsed in my stash of treasure coins, and we've selected this one because it has a sailboat in it, and a tropical island with palm trees. So isn't that fitting?
As we're in rainy Canada, the most fitting.
Well, it's about the other places on this planet as well that have sunshine and palm trees.
It really starts to feel like everything's coming together. All the little inconveniences, I mean small little things, right? But all these little inconveniences that we have lived with on the boat before are becoming solved, and that's really exciting. Speaking of little inconveniences, again, these things are so minor, but they make such a difference. These lights are all now hooked up, which they were in place before, but it took some time to actually run wires to them. So now we've got light here. It illuminates my toad, which I love my toad. So I'm very glad for him to have a spotlight. We also have this beautiful skylight, which goes a long way to lighting the interior. It's actually amazing, like when we cover that skylight, how much darker the boat gets. I made these curtains this winter. I'm not much of a seamstress, so this was definitely a bit of a stretch for me, but they just Velcro on. Nothing terribly fancy. It's literally a square of fabric, and it was really all I could muster to make this project come to life. So yeah, you can see what a difference. It just gets so much darker in here. And if we didn't have this butterfly hatch and this was like what it was like all the time, that would really be too bad. So let's get the light back. I love the light. Although I can imagine when we're in a warmer, more tropical climate, maybe it'll be nice to be able to block out that harsh sunlight. But for now, butterfly hatch stays open.
One challenge that I faced because of the way that this boat is built is that we don't have hidden voids within where you can run cables, electric cables. So I was really breaking my head on how to get spotlights on here. Many boats don't actually have spotlights of this vintage, and that is why they feel also even a bit darker, especially if you don't have a skylight. But we really wanted to get spotlights up because it's not just about the light shining down, but we also learned that it's about the light that shines down reflects on surfaces and reflects back up on the white surface of the ceiling, and it lights up everything a little more. So we were determined to put spotlights on. But how to do that? I came up with this idea, and I think it turned out really beautiful. So it's a plank, it's a 1/4 inch thick. So that allowed it to flex. I was able to put in the lights. It's actually hollow back here, so if they do heat up, it can just ventilate a little bit, and all the electrical connections are behind it. And as for the wire, I mean, that's why I guess I browse all the time through other listings. I try to see how do they solve some problems, and the solution is just try to make the wiring look nice because you can't hide it. It's just the painstaking details. It's like on wiring you have labels, so I flipped so those are hidden, so it's the orientation on how the cable runs, and then the way that I attached it is by using little leather strips. I saw some people use little copper strap. That also looks really good, but yeah, I'm happy how this turned out. And indeed, there's always something on a boat list, right? So you can still see over there, there's still some cables that are held by tape. But eventually it will all get there. And yeah, this is already such a good feeling space that we also relax the projects.
Up here is also an area we haven't shown you very much on camera, but this is the V-berth. It's where we sleep. It's actually a bit hard to film because it is a small space. As you can see, I am taking up the entire width of this corridor. But this is where we keep all of our clothes. You already saw this is the hanging locker. The table's currently in deployment. So I also have my aforementioned Pilates mat here. And then this is our V-berth. It's kind of exciting because this is the first season we've had lights in the V-berth. We didn't have these hooked up last season. Something I love about the V-berth is you can see here, there's light. And that's actually not electric light. Those are our deck prisms. And if you followed the refit, you'll remember installing the deck prisms. It's very hard to install these in a way that's not going to cause a leak. But it's really nice to have a little bit of natural light because a space like this can very quickly become just so dark. We've also tried to leave the walls as bare as possible, just white, again, to brighten it, because it is such a small space, it can quickly become dark. It's nice when we can open this. That obviously lets in a lot of light as well, but it is currently pouring with rain and I don't want to sleep in a wet bed, so I won't be doing that right now. Hello, welcome to the head. This is another area that we do not film in very often, obviously. First of all, because it is the toilet, but second of all, because it's a very small space and it is actually hard to fit a camera in here, but we'll do our best. Come on in. So this is a small, but actually very functional space. It has both a toilet over here and also, a sink, some cabinetry kind of things, and a place to shower, which is amazing. We actually have a hot water tank on the boat, very small, but we have a hot water tank. So whenever we run the engine or if we're plugged into shore power, we have hot water. To use the hot water, this is our shower head. We pull it out, we, hold it. I mean, things get a little bit wet, but you have to dry it down afterwards, and that's okay. Showering is not as convenient or as luxurious as in a house, that is for sure. But we get clean. I don't look like a mess, do I? Don't answer that. There's little elements of beauty in this space as well, of course. This is a beautiful sink from Mexico. We actually ordered this off Etsy. And this was after, a long time of deliberating and going to, Home Depot and all the usual suspects and not finding inspiration in any of the sinks. And then I found this, it's hand painted, and I thought that the blue really offset the countertops. The countertops are also something with a story behind them. These are made out of some cedar, which blew down in the yard of a patron of ours down in Washington State. It blew down and he offered some of it to us. He knew somebody with a mill, so we got to go and mill the wood with him and his friend. And, the refit took so long that the wood was able to season while we were doing the refit. And then towards the end, after several years of it drying, we have used it for our countertops. So I love that it came from literally the yard of someone we know. Thank you, Arnie. And it's a perfect color contrast with this blue sink. As for the design of the head, this is something that we debated a lot during the refit, maybe more than every other space on the boat, because we could see how small the head was. It was basically the same configuration when we bought the boat. And we were like, okay, we can do better. We can make this head bigger. We can have a more luxurious shower space. And we thought of so many different configurations. We actually removed this wall for a while. And we were thinking of just having this whole space kind of be like a big shower space. Anyway, we thought of separating the toilet and the head, or the toilet and the shower. But in the end, we decided, what was already here actually seemed like the best. One more thing I should mention, we have a cowl vent in the head to aid ventilation, from when we're showering. But this season, we actually added a little computer fan into the cowl vent to draw air and steam out. And so there's a little switch here. And now the fan's on. And yeah, it's kind of just in there with hot glue. It's not like super duper proper, but it's just a little thing that...
What do you mean it's not proper?
And this is the galley, kind of the heart and soul of the boat, in the way that the kitchen is always the heart and soul of any house. And it's a small space, but it's so functional. I love it. We made a few key decisions in this galley. We installed the biggest sink we could possibly find, and it's been such a game changer. Boats often have really small sinks, but they're such a pain in the butt to use when you're actually living on the boat. We had a tiny sink on our previous boat, and it drove us insane. So we just put a really big sink in, and it's been great. This stove and oven, it's a Force 10. It's been working really well. The oven works well. we put a pizza stone in the oven on the advice of a lot of our viewers, actually, and that has helped enormously to provide a more even heat to the oven, because at first I was so disheartened, like everything was burning on the bottom and raw on top. And with the pizza stone in there, it just, yeah, I think it disperses things more evenly. Things bake a lot better. This lantern is something, I love this lantern. This is such a centerpiece to the boat. It's the first thing you see, and it brings me just a ridiculous amount of joy. This is something that I knew that I wanted literally before we even bought this boat. We were, scrolling through listings as one does, and I just found that the boats that had a lantern hanging in them, I wanted to buy more than boats that didn't have a lantern hanging in them.
So this boat got vetoed no, but she saw great potential in this bulkhead.
I was like, I can put a
one.
lantern there. Literally before we even saw the boat in person, looking at the photos, I'm like, lantern.
And I was like, oh my god, the boat didn't have a functional engine, the beams were all rotted away, it needed a lot of structural repair. So
it needed a lantern.
I was focused on that, and you were right. So we do make a great team in that.
Thank you very much. We do make a good team. So this lantern was actually sent to us by a subscriber, Matthew. Thank you so much. And it's an oil lantern. We didn't want to go about like drilling into it and installing electricity, but Dean came up with a pretty simple and elegant solution. In here is a bulb from a little DC lamp called a sunset lamp. I think that's what they're called. You can just get them on Amazon or wherever. And he took the bulb out of it and just kind of literally just placed it in the top of this. Hey, you didn't drill it into place or anything like that. It's just there. But it's illuminating it, and having the glass bulb in here, it shines nicely. And yeah, it runs off of DC. It actually, if you come have a quick look, it's a USB cable, and these lamps that we've installed actually have USB slots on them. So it's literally just plugged into one of the lamps. So yes, these are called trawler lamps, in case you're curious. You can buy electrified trawler lamps. These are really expensive to buy new. You can find them at marine thrift stores. You can find them, if you go hunting for them. But new, they are pricey. So trawler lamp, so essential. Okay, next piece of excellent lighting that we have is this violin. This was my first violin. Most of you guys already know this story by now. This was my first full-sized violin. I should change that, because I had many little violins as I was growing up. But this was my first full-sized one, and it suffered a grave tragedy. It got crushed, and so now it's a lamp. Okay, moving on. My flowers. This is my flower corner. This is another sort of thing that, we're in the middle of this refit, and it's quite dire. We're pulling the boat apart. It's a years-long project. And Aladino, as ever practical, is just sanding and trying not to think about it. And I am thinking about it too much. And I needed some beauty. For so much of the refit, there was no beauty. Sanding fiberglass, you're in Tyvek suits, everything looks bad around you, and holding on to that little glimmer of future, that vision that you're working towards, gets increasingly more difficult as time goes on. It's really hard to hold that vision over years. And so I didn't always succeed, but I tried in moments where things were really bad and I was quite gloomy to bring in little elements of that future that I was working towards. And this vase, as small and simple as it is, it represents that quest. This is just a little vase. Again, I got it on Etsy. It's hand painted. I just wanted flowers. My vision was that I wanted flowers to be bursting up into this space. These flowers are getting a little long in the tooth now. It's time for new ones soon, but I was so intent on that vision, and I was so intent on bringing a piece of beauty into this increasingly dire looking boat. And now it's one of my favorite things, and I'm always reminded of that when I look at it.
And we have some more art, and as you can see here on this bulkhead, that is something my mom drew. She's very talented artist. And she also made us something very recently, and that's over here. And that's another beautiful addition. Oh, it's just, I can't even imagine how much patience and time it took to put all these beads together.
I think she told us
nice.
there's like over 1,000 beads in it.
Yeah, so it says magic carpet, of course, and you can see an octopus, which is my nickname growing up. My parents called me Pulpo, so as you can see there's a pulpo right there. Mm-hmm. So that's it found its perfect home, and yeah, it's just, it ties it all together. It's so nice. Thanks, Mom.
These are fiddles, different from that. These are just little pieces that sit on the edge of a countertop so things don't fly off, which is really helpful when you're sailing, obviously, but when you're just like normally working at the galley and you're not being tossed about, it can be kind of frustrating to have this in your way. So Aladino designed this really cool system where there's pegs and there's holes, and it can be very easily taken on and off. So this is a piece of Alaska yellow cedar, again, one of the last pieces. So matching the cabinets and matching the table now. This countertop is the same wood as the countertop in the bathroom, by the way. So we've got all the wood has a little bit of a story behind it. Actually, oh my God, there's so many stories. This video is going to be like an hour long. But yeah, the teak, a lot of the teak on the boat was sent to us by a subscriber, Brock. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his brother had a boatyard. Long story short, there was some teak that was not being used and it was sent to us. So we were able to do, you know, like the cabinet doors here and the trim on the table and lots of other little projects. And then the centerpieces here are Alaska yellow cedar that again was sent to us by a subscriber. This one from the Sunshine Coast, which is where I grew up. And this is Alaska yellow cedar that was milled on the Sunshine Coast 100 years ago, and has been sort of seasoning and awaiting its fate ever since. And so we're truly honored to have pieces of such a legacy on board, and it's so cool that this wood came from where I come from. Little layers of meaning everywhere. It makes me so happy. Okay, ready for another layer of meaning? This one over here, this is our fridge, and my dad made us this fridge lid. My dad, my wonderful dad. Oh, Dad. What a great dad. Thank you. You all know him as Brian. To me, he is Dad, or actually I mostly call him Bibbidi, but that's a whole other story. So he made this beautiful fridge lid, and Aladino made this fridge. It's small, I'll be honest, sometimes it causes frustration, but it keeps things very cold. It works very well. It's very nice to have a fridge. We do not have a freezer, but if you put things really close to the holding plate, sometimes they freeze.
There has been many challenges, of course, but I'm really proud. I'm really happy. The things we were given, like some teak, the Alaska yellow cedar, and I just love the combination that this created. On Magic Carpet 1, if you know, that was our previous boat. It was also very warm in the interior. It had deck beams and also wooden coach roof and cabin sides. And yeah, the things that I marvel at is I can just lay and I look up and I just look at the wood grain and how it reflects the light, and how, depending on how the light shines on it, the grain of wood gives that different shine and reflection sometimes. And so I'm glad to be able to do this here now, because yeah, we sold Magic Carpet 1, and I was of course a little sad about that, but very proud now with this beautiful new home of ours.
There are so many things about this boat that have become so special. And I think one of the things that I love about being in this space is everywhere I look, I see the result of people who wanted us to succeed. From the pieces of wood to this lamp, which is one of my favorite things. Just even the sink, and that was a gift from Charlene, who has showered this project. Charlene in particular has really showered this project in so much generosity. And everywhere I look, every day that I live in this space, I'm reminded of that. And that's a really beautiful thing to be reminded of, when your home has the ability to remind you of the goodness of people. That's, you know, we're living in pretty weird times right now. We all know that. There's a lot of bad news stories There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of stories about people behaving poorly in the world right now. And I feel really lucky that this space reminds us of the opposite of that, of all the people who are so good and kind. And it also reminds me of a lot of, at times very tough lessons that we went through that ultimately came to a really beautiful conclusion. This boat, this refit, was done at a very pivotal point in life for both of us, but I might say especially for me, because I'm not a boat builder, Aladino is. And, we did this project, I was in my mid-20s. I don't think I realized how large of a project it would be. I don't think I realized what it meant to work on something like this. And it did very nearly break me at a lot of times. The vision was very nearly lost, but I kept going. And in that perseverance, ultimately, now we have this incredible space. And so I think it's also really nice that every day I'm reminded of that, of the value of keeping going, as long as that end vision is something that you really do believe in, just continuing to push towards it, no matter the difficulties along the way. I can now say, with hindsight, has served me well, even if I didn't always see that in the moment. So thank you for coming into our home, for seeing our little boat. It is still pouring. It has not stopped. I was kind of hoping to go for a walk, but alas, I will have to put the couch into small mode and do some Pilates maybe. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.